Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and happy 4th of July to all of you. And of course, since it is the 4th of July, I figured I might as well do a special owner Falking Seen It review, mainly because, there are many 4th of July movies that I have had many requests to watch, and since it is 4th of July, I actually have two reviews for you, and I'm going to talk about both of them in this video. And the first one I'm going to review is a movie I've wanted to see for a while. That is the 1995 film Apollo 13. And what Apollo 13 is essentially about, if you haven't seen it, of course, we do center on these three astronauts, and basically they have just witnessed Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong walk the moon, and basically they think that they want to do the same thing. They're launching another space mission. It's supposed to go as just a simple routine mission that they're going to get out of, but things get way more complicated than they wanted, and the question of if they're able to get out of this situation starts to become more and more imperative, and that's really all I'm going to say. So Apollo 13 in general, I was honestly hyped to watch this movie. I've gotten so many requests over the years. You got to see Apollo 13. It's such a good movie. I rented this film So I bought this film a couple years ago, and, with the intention to eventually see it. I just never saw it till now, and I am very happy I saw it because Apollo 13 is truly as great as everyone has said it is. This is a very well done space film that also is a very good account of what really happened. So yeah, like I said, I very much did enjoy this one. The cast right off the bat is fantastic. I think everyone just gives a really great performance. Tom Hanks absolutely being the standout. I will say, though, I think that his wife, whatever her name is, Kathleen Quinlan, I thought honestly is kind of second banana to him. She was really great in this movie. She has this one really fantastic scene where they are in her house, thinking that he's dead, and they're getting ready to collect his items and stuff, and she just doesn't want to believe that. She wants to keep his memory alive. She has the hope and courage that he's gonna get out of this, and I thought their relationship was honestly kind of the heart of this movie. I mean, sure, the three men, that's definitely a part of it, but I thought their relationship was very well explored, and I very much enjoyed that. You see the doubt that she really does have, and once this mission does go wrong, and they say, Houston, we have a problem, it becomes incredibly riveting, because you really don't know if they're gonna get out of this, and that's something that I really did love. But I also love how much we focus on the men in the control room who are also trying to get them out of this situation, and they're so worried that it's going to be impossible. They don't want this to be a failure, and you see someone like Gary Sinise or Ed Harris, who are so worried that this isn't going to work out and that this could be a huge failure for them. And I really did love scenes like that. I thought this film demonstrated the idea of failure very well. How some things you might just not be able to get out of, and I really did love that in the movie. However, I will say that does lead me to my one complaint with the film, which I do think the movie's a little too long. In the second act, it does drag a bit. I wouldn't say it was boring necessarily, but it did take me out just a little bit. I really was waiting for things to wrap up. There are quite a few repetitive scenes, but the film is so riveting and the performances are so good that you really can't help but look away. And that's also thanks to cinematography, which is absolutely mind-blowing here. Everything about the cinematography, it's as great as everyone has said. Space, I mean, this movie was made in 1995, and it still looks like real space. You would think that they took a camera up to space and shot it. That's how real everything does feel here. When, the planets that they're on, or the various, like I said, planets they're on, or things like that, I thought were just so well realized, and I really did love everything about the cinematography. It really added to just the scope of everything. Just the scene of them going off into space in general is incredible to watch, and it honestly is mind-blowing. It still looks fantastic after all these years, and it holds up, I think, even better than it did in 1995. I don't know if this film was nominated for Best Cinematography, but it damn well should have, because it just looks, it's just so great to look at, and it just, like I said, it just looks so real to what actual space looks like, and I think they did an incredible job with that, especially with technology not being as up to par as it is today, and it was just incredible to watch. The score also, James Horner's score is so good here. You get that epic feel that the movie really wants you to have. It perfectly puts you right into that setting, and I thought the score was just so great. I really did enjoy it overall. You know, there are some scenes where the score really does heighten the tension, and I just really did love the score. And like I said, there's a lot of doubt as well. Like, while they do give you that hope that they're going to get out of this, they also put a lot of doubt in you, and it really does help if you don't know too much about the story, which I'm sure a lot of people do because either they've seen the movie or they've read about it, but I'm someone who doesn't really know a lot about this stuff. Like, I obviously knew what Apollo 13 was, but I didn't really know the outcome of it or whatever, so I will admit, the doubt I thought was also very well set up, because you don't know if they're going to be able to get out of this. It seems a bit insurmountable, and I really did love the way they explored that. Also, there is one scene in this movie involving Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. You know, they do play a pivotal role in this movie, and there is one scene involving them. I'm not going to say what it is, but it is definitely one of the funniest things I've seen quite a while. I was honestly dying at this scene. Overall, guys, Apollo 13 is just a very entertaining movie. This is everything that I really could want in a really great space movie, but also a really great sort of survival thriller. I've heard a lot of people compare this to The Martian, and yes, it is similar, but it's different in the sense where you have these three men and they're all of different intellect, and I definitely really did enjoy that overall. Apollo 13 is truly a fantastic movie, and I am going to give Apollo 13 overall an A-. Also, the other thing I really love about this movie is just the juxtaposition between the three men. You have someone like Tom Hanks, who he's done all this before, and he's very used to this environment, but you see as the film goes on, he starts to get more and more worried, and a little bit of, you know, fear sort of, you know, is inside of him, and you really do start to see that come out throughout the film, but he does try to remain the leader, and I think he does a really great job of that. Then you got someone like Kevin Bacon, who isn't as used to this environment, and this is actually the first mission he's doing, but he as well is trying to stay hopeful, and I just thought the contrast between all three of them and the different reasons they blame each other, because yes, they do blame each other for this, you know, like, there's a great scene where Tom Hanks and Bill Paxton, they're blaming this on Kevin Bacon. They're saying, yes, it is your fault. You're the one that's gotten us in this situation. I just really loved getting into that. You really do see how this starts to take a toll on their overall relationship, and I thought that was also very well explored. So the second film I'm going to review is Good Morning Vietnam. So Good Morning Vietnam, and again, another movie I was very much looking forward to. I heard a lot of great things about it. I actually almost watched this movie in 2015, back when I reviewed like 4th of July movies back to back. I was originally planning on watching this one, but I never got around to it. I watched like 20 minutes of it, and I realized I didn't have enough time to finish it if I wanted to watch the other movies. So I ended up skipping it, but I finally did watch it, and it is every bit as fantastic as I really was hoping it is, and we're just getting into it right now. Now, right off the bat, best thing about this movie is Robin Williams. I mean, he remains one of the greatest talents that was out there, and I hate saying was, because you just watch this movie and you're like, God damn, he was so talented, and the fact that he is gone from us and that he had to die when he did, it is utterly saddening and definitely a very, very missed, I think, throughout everyone. I think he provided so much great comedy, and he always knew how to find the light in dark situations, and never is that more prevalent than in this film. What I really love about Crooner is that this is someone who is very much out of his element. Like, you see him in the film, and he's learning the Vietnamese culture, and he's eating all these things he's never heard of before, and he's meeting all these people, and just all these different things, but he is 100% on board with it. Sure, there are some things that he's not used to, like the heat and things like that, but he is willing to kind of put that aside and just help them out and give them that hope and that calming sense that everything is going to be okay, and that's something I really did love about Crooner's character overall. But I also love how much he didn't give a shit what anyone really thought of him, because like I said, Crooner is someone who has people constantly on his ass throughout the entire movie, especially this one dude, Dickerson, who, this guy is one of the biggest dicks I've seen in a movie in a while. This guy basically just wants him to censor everything. He doesn't want him to talk about anything controversial, anything violent, and Crooner's not about that. He wants to tell things exactly as they are. He doesn't want to sugarcoat everything. He wants to get into the nitty-gritty of what's really going on, and especially when things start to become a lot more serious, this is really when they want to shut down his radio station, because he isn't trying to sugarcoat anything. He isn't trying to hide anything. He's telling them exactly what's going on, and he's trying to give them that hope, and they just do not really believe that. And I think the film does a very good job of exploring those, you know, the freedom of speech and you know, sort of just, you know, what happens on the radio and how, I think, rigged that business really is. I mean, the fact that radio stations back then, there were certain things they just simply didn't want to say, I thought was very well done, and I thought they handled that, the social commentary of what being, you know, like I said, a radio host back then really was like, I thought was very well done. Forrest Whitaker, at first I thought he was kind of wasted in this movie, but he has one scene in the middle of the film, and I think that very much did make up for me. He's basically like his second in command. He's kind of like, you know, his partner in this movie, and there's a really great scene in the middle half that I'm not going to get into, but I definitely really did enjoy it. The Vietnamese actors, I thought, also were very much on their game in this film, especially the one dude that ends up playing, the Tuan. I don't want to get into what happens with this character, but towards the end, holy shit. I mean, I'm surprised this guy was not nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I don't know if he was, but if he wasn't, that was definitely a huge snub because he was incredible towards the end of this movie. In terms of flaws, I will say the writing to this film, I do think is very well done. The film really is about exploring this culture, and rather than, you know, sort of just shutting it down and sort of like, just kind of, you know, dismissing it as, oh, it's different and I don't really feel at home here. You should try to embrace it. You should try to be like Crooner. You should try to, you know, be a teacher who is trying to give the students and, you know, give them a good education and things like that, and try to kind of distract them from the radio, but not also distract them, let them know the severity of the situation, but also try to provide that hope in them, try to provide that positive attitude. And that really is what Crooner tries to do in this movie, and I think that message is very well done. It's just the first half of the movie isn't necessarily the most engaging. It is very positive. Everything's going great for him. There are a couple moments here and there where Dickerson is trying to shut him down or whatever, but for the most part, he's doing really well, and it's a lot of fun. It's a very fun romp. You know, Williams is so great in the movie. He has so many great one-liners in the film. Just his broadcast in general is enough for a reason to watch this movie. I honestly would recommend just watching the broadcasts on their own because they are absolutely some of the standout things about this movie, and this is definitely one of his best performances. It's just the story in general isn't really all that engaging, and I just wasn't fully into it. It's the second half of the movie, like, you know, the second and third act, that's when it gets, I think, really great, because the movie definitely does have two very significant acts. I know movies typically have 3 acts, but this film does have 2 very different shifts, and that second shift is when this movie gets really, really great. It gets into the harsh realities of what's really going on. Things start to get a lot more serious, a lot more violence and things like that are starting to affect the broadcast, and I think that's when the movie really did get very great, and especially a line towards the end really did have a big impact on me. The movie really does explore how Americans were just as bad as the Vietnamese, and I'm not really going to get into it that much because if you haven't seen the movie, but it involves this really great twist that I honestly didn't really see coming, and I thought was definitely very well done. I thought they handled that very well, and every topic they address, they really do address it, I think, with the proper sincerity and, you know, clarity that they really needed in this film, and I thought that was very well done. Also, I will say a lot of the characters in this movie I did find to be very underused, specifically this girl that Williams does get into a relationship with. It's interesting, but it just doesn't really go much of anywhere till the very end of the movie. Like, I was glad at the end of the movie they really did get into it, but for a while you just don't really see much of her, and I just did not really feel that much for her character. The only reason I did is her connection to Tuan, who is her brother. Other than that, there just really isn't a lot to her character, and I think they could have done a lot more with her and many of the other characters in this movie. The movie very much is Williams' film, I understand that, but I just felt they could have fleshed out some of the secondary characters just a little bit more than they ended up doing. I also love the score. The soundtrack is so great. There's all kinds of like really great 70s music and 60s, 70s music, and I really did enjoy that. Cinematography, not much to say, except for this one montage. There's this one very ironic montage where they play What a Wonderful World, and it's meant to be this sort of like satirical thing that, oh, we had these songs saying the world was so great, but over in Vietnam, things were terrible. You know, houses were being destroyed, children were seeing their families just killed right in front of them, and it's a very effective sequence, and the cinematography really goes into that. I thought the cinematography was very well done there. There's a lot of really great wide shots that are sometimes very hard to watch, but I really did love the way this film did get into that. Like I said, while this film is about embracing the positivity of a situation, it is not at all about trying to, distract you from the situation and act like everything that was going on was fine and that there really wasn't anything bad happening, because that's simply not the case. What happened was awful, and the film very much does get into that, and I think they did that very well. The editing, like I said, the film is very well paced. Like I said, while the first half isn't that engaging, it is still very well paced. The film very much did fly by for me, and I definitely really did enjoy it. And the ending, I thought was incredibly effective. The way it did end, I thought was just really great, and I really did love it overall. Overall, Good Morning Vietnam is one of Williams' best performances. It really is. I think it's a really great film to watch around this time. It shows, while America is one of the greatest countries, we are definitely a flawed country, and especially that time period, there was a lot of things going on that were kind of fucked up, and a lot of things that people were kind of afraid to admit, and this film very much does get into that, and that's something I definitely really did enjoy about overall. Good Morning Vietnam is truly a fantastic film that I definitely do recommend for you to watch around this time. It has one of Williams' best performances for sure. It has a really great message, and I am definitely going to give Good Morning Vietnam overall a B+. But overall, guys, that's it for this very special 4th of July edition of Own It Never Falking Seen It. Let me know what you guys thought of either of these films. If you have seen them, love to hear your thoughts on it, and hope you guys had a really great 4th of July. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. See you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.